Hello and welcome to the Dell Technologies London office, where we're going to talk to you today about modern technologies and edge computing and how they have transformed the retail space. I'm Arun Nataranjan from the Edge Solutions COC at Dell Technologies, focused on international markets, and I have David from Intel. David, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, thanks, Arun. Thanks for inviting me to come today. My name's David Dobson. I am the Global Industry Director for Retail, Hospitality and Consumer Goods at Intel, part of our Network and Edge team.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. We are at the cusp of the retail era, and it's a new phase forward, all starting from a perspective of how customers are buying today and how the whole pattern has changed. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, Intel and Dell have been together on this journey for many years now, probably 20 plus years, where we started out in that POS space, which was central system for all store systems, and evolving from embedded systems now where we've got these connected edge systems, as you say, huge opportunities for retailers to really change the environment in which people shop, which is what we're hearing customers want, and also make those stores more efficient and more attractive for the shoppers, which is what retailers want.
Absolutely. So right from shop floor to home deliveries to online, we have the solutions that we've brought across to the market.
And it's really interesting that you mentioned all three aspects there, because everything used to be about the store in retail, but with the growth in online, and we've seen that phenomenally over the last 2 years, it really changed the way in which retailers transact to serve those customers in the way they want to be served. So if I want to buy something from my desktop or my mobile phone and have it delivered to home, they've got to provide the solutions to do that.
So what we're actually doing is, to the retailers, we are delivering an omni-channel experience.
Exactly. So and really that's the challenge for all retailers, where in some cases it looks like they're doing a pretty good job. The reality is the systems and the tools and the infrastructure is more complicated than it needs to be. And actually it works for today, but maybe is not the right infrastructure for tomorrow and some of the challenges that are coming that retailers really want to start to address.
And with AI analytics, we're able to understand the customers much better.
Yes, so I mean, the way I think about that is in the online world, you kind of know everything about the person who's browsing through the website. You know what they've looked at, you know what they examined, you know what they bought. In a kind of retail store, you kind of know how many people walked into the store, you know what people bought in the store, but really very little else. And so that's the big challenge. And as you say, computer vision and AI is really unlocking that store environment to really start to and allow retailers to explore more about what's happening at that edge.
Oh, that's great. You've straight gone to use cases, which is brilliant. So let's look at some of the use cases using a simple camera, which is connected to a CCTV environment, using existing infrastructure that customers have, and how we can leverage those. Some of the use cases that we were just talking about recently was about zone activity, zone analytics. Where you're able to look at certain parts of the store and then be able to tell retailers and guide them to where exactly their personnel can be directed, right?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. As I said, they know how many people walked in the store and they know what's happening around the cash register, but in between they don't really know. So are people in the electronics? Are they in the dairy? Are they in the grocery section? And when are they in there? What time of day are they in there? Who is in there? What are they doing in those zones? All of that insight is really valuable to the marketeers and the brand managers inside the retail, so that they can properly merchandise. And as you also say, they make sure that they've got the right staff on hand at the right time to serve those customers in those
Footfall analytics. Isn't that what it is? Where actually they can look at patterns of how customers typically, number of customers, the demographics and all of that.
Yeah, and to do that at scale, okay, I think retailers have done this in maybe, the prestige stores, where they've kind of used analytics to say, well, what's happening in my Oxford Street store? But how can you do that across all 1,000 of your stores and really get that deep insight to what's happening in my store in the northwest of England, in the countryside, in the city centres, in the shopping malls, really get that deep insight across my entire store site so I can start to personalise for the store and for the shopper those experiences.
Ooh, talking of personalizing it, customer journey, another use case actually, which follows the customer in the store, figures out about where they're actually drawn to, and from that perspective, there are things associated like heat maps, dwell times, and all of that, which we can actually deliver as solutions to our retailers.
Yeah, no, 100%. That customer journey, truly understanding your customer is the biggest objective for retailers, right? If you don't understand what your customer's doing, what their journey looks like, and you're not supporting that with the right tools and systems and people in a lot of cases, then you're doing a disservice to your customers and you're not maximizing your opportunity at the end of the day.
So when these three cases actually that we just discussed is all about delighting customers, especially when they have moved to a different way of purchasing today.
Exactly.
How do we look at these innovative ways to keep those customers delighted and enrich their experience?
Exactly. Right. Because that's how you get them to come back to the store. That's how you get them to do repeat visits, which we know and retailers know that it's easier to have a customer come back to visit you than it is to try and acquire a new customer. To get somebody to come into your store for the first time is hard. Get them to come back time after time. It's about execution. It's about delighting them at each time.
Talking about that, get them to come back one at a time. There is another use case which is about intelligent queue management and so on. So where the cameras can typically look at the length of a queue and then be able to alert a retailer to open up more cash tills and so on. So that so that they can prevent that whole abandonment. How often have we gone up and said, "Oh, there's a long queue at the till. Let's forget it. Let's buy this. Let's make the purchase much later."
Yeah.
Cameras can do that too.
Absolutely.
And we, through a software, are able to, trigger off these alerts.
And what store manager wouldn't want? They're busy. Everybody in the store has got so many things to do. They're not always seeing the fact that a queue is growing at the checkout. So the system telling you and helping you and adjusting, with insight is super important.
So it's not just about delighting a customer; it's also about profitability for our retailers.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Talking about profitability of retailers, that a checkout, for example. Today we've got all of these self-service checkouts and so on. An intelligent checkout, for example, where you look at the basket and you look at how much has been scanned and draw a relationship between that. That's another use case which we can do.
Yeah, exactly. And also, make sure that people are scanning the right item that they're putting in the bag. I think intelligent checkout is an interesting one. We actually have in our Intel store at our headquarters in Santa Clara, we actually have installed one of these. So if you want to come to our store and buy some of our retail merchandise, Arun, you're more than welcome to do that. But you could just put your items on the point, the cameras detect the items, automatically build your receipt. So that technology is coming and it's driven by computer vision.
That in fact, yes, at Intel, that's great, but even for our customers at large supermarkets, that reduces shrinkage, that reduces fraud and theft, because with self-service tills, you see that's one of the retailers' main problems today.
Yeah, 100%. And not saying that people deliberately do this, because sometimes it's just accidental and it can be difficult. So anything that removes frictions, spots those potential losses or shrinkage, as retailers call it, anything that reduces that is top of mind for retailers today, because there is no doubt, and all the stats show that shrinkage has risen as they've deployed more and more self-service systems out in the
Very nice. So a little bit about the infrastructures, since we've talked about the use cases, what goes behind this. A lot of this actually is, data center infrastructure now being brought to the edge. I'm sure this poses some challenges because, you're bringing data center infrastructure down to the remote location, to a storefront and all of that. Some of the challenges that we could talk about, first one, security, I would think. prime. Everybody would talk about, oh, bring infrastructure down, security physically as well as from an IT perspective.
For sure.
Environment,
Yep.
right? That was another one. We don't always have cooling and the space in a remote location for IT environment or IT systems to be hosted out there. And more so, IT personnel at a remote location. How often do we get that? That's a luxury, in fact, to have in a remote location an IT personnel to IT staff out there.
Yeah, I think the only one I would add to that is that obviously your bandwidth constrained in these environments as well, right? So yes, it needs to be simple because what you're hiring for as a retailer is people to serve your customers, not to manage your IT system.
Absolutely.
So that has to be automated, that has to be remotely managed, it has to be secure, as you rightly said. And then you've also got the bandwidth constraints that you're operating in most retail environments. So it's complex, but I have to say retailers have been on this journey for many years now, and they're pretty smart. I think where I would really point them in terms of the future challenge is managing that infrastructure in a sensible way, not to think about your infrastructure after you've selected your solution. Have an infrastructure platform at the edge and then deploy your solutions inside that platform. And that's, I think, really where Dell and Intel have really got some interesting solutions that can help them.
That's a very good point that you made, David, on bandwidth, in fact. Talking about bandwidth, especially if you're planning to look at replicating across numerous sites in a retail environment, you're looking out for out-of-band management. You're looking for orchestration. Customers are looking at equipment which is much smaller because they're at remote locations. So the access to equipment that needs to be much smaller in terms of form factor. We have them all that we've delivered across from Intel and Dell working together. We've brought numerous designs across to the market, right from the edge gateway to servers, our entire range of PowerEdge servers. And within the PowerEdge servers, we've got another range called the XR series, which is a subset of that, which is focused on enterprise-grade class systems, which are rugged. And that's the design that we've actually worked very closely, all powered by the Intel Xeon processor.
Thank you. We love our friends at Dell, our Intel scalable processors. I know third generation is out there and it's available, and we're just launching fourth generation and it's coming soon. Key component of delivering some of this value, especially for some of these innovative use cases that we're talking about in the future. The more and more AI that's being deployed in the store, the more you need this compute power at the edge. And as you rightly said, from a low compute for simple use cases to a much stronger compute platform for some of the more advanced use cases that retailers are starting to look at.
Great. So on those systems, the ruggedized systems, we have the XR series, and we've got the XR11, the XR12, and some of the features that really stand out is, first and foremost, it's a shot depth server, shorter, so you can really put them across, and beyond that, dust filtration. We spoke about environment and the challenges on the environment. Dust filtration has been added to that too.
Nice.
So, you can put them in ruggedized, as we said.
Yeah, I mean, they're not server rooms in these retail stores. They're often a back office workspace where people make coffee and store their codes. So all of that is super important for them to be, and they're also deployed for a long number of years often, right? It's not something we refresh every 6 months. So all of those things are really essentials. In this
and you mentioned out-of-band management. We've got iDRAC on that built. It comes with iDRAC out-of-band management.
Perfect.
More so, we've gone on to innovate further, and we've got the new XR 4000 series, which are the new range that's come out, shorter, much smaller form factor. We've got them in a rack mount as well as a wall mount. The rack mount can have 4 nodes with a witness node, and the wall mount, which is even smaller, has 2 nodes with a witness node. And we're the only manufacturers and the only vendors in the market who have come out with this witness node. And what we can actually do with that is that you can actually get a hyper-converged environment, so software defined and all of that, and manageability of applications and all of that through the witness node.
And that's so important because most of these new innovation solutions, most of the startup companies, they build cloud-first solutions. So they need those native environments. They need that cloud infrastructure at the edge for those solutions to deploy. The legacy systems, that's kind of what legacy is. They've been deploying them and managing them for a while. And I think that infrastructure, both to support that legacy and provide that cloud-native application infrastructure, is super important.
Superb. So in summary, we've seen that the retail space is changing dramatically. Customers are buying in different manners, whether it's home deliveries to online to now getting back onto the shop floor itself. Customers have been more demanding and they want things faster. We've been able to provide all of these to them by innovating with ruggedized servers through our XR range.
And I think the retailers understand that, right? And they had to innovate and deploy things very quickly over the last 2 years as we've been going through this COVID issue. And the business has become expecting IT to provide that innovation at much faster speeds than they've done before. And as you say, having that right infrastructure, having the right solutions to deploy this innovation on is going to be business critical. And we are seeing the most successful retailers investing in this, and if you want to stay competitive, that's what you're going to have to do. I
Absolutely.
think,
and it's not just the systems. We've also gone to validated designs. We work together on bringing out validated designs for retail, which makes it a lot more easier for our customers to deploy. Since they've all been tested, we've got the software, we piece them all together and we deliver it together as a holistic solution for our customers. Thank you very much, David, for those insights. Retail is changing and customers are demanding solutions that we've embarked together with Intel. Scalable solutions, adaptable, modular, and AI-powered. We can show you all these solutions at our Customer Solutions Lab. Please get in touch with our Dell account executive who would be able to take you through this journey, and we can embark on this together, on this retail revolution, and win the edge for you. Thank you.